Hello, Senior Stoner fans. It's the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Ispire Daab, Diamond Dab of the Day. Hello, everybody. Today is Sunday. Thanks for joining me. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, send a like, tell me what you think. Let's get started with today's topic. How many of us out there constantly say to ourselves, oh, I wish I looked like him. Oh, I wish I looked like her. I wish I was as thin as him. I wish I was in good as shape as him. I'm not as good looking as they are. How many of us compare ourselves to other people? You know what? It's a mistake. Stop comparing your life. Let's start living it. Well, envy is a real problem for people. Most of us understand the foolishness of trying to compare ourselves to others. But whether we compare our bodies, our homes, our money, number of measurable and unmeasurable things, we do it all the time. But there are problems with trying to compare yourself to other people. Let's discuss. Most often you're comparing the wrong things. That's right. Because we can most easily compare the things we objectively measure. We live in a world that's great at measuring and comparing externals. Somewhere along the way, people found out they could determine who's living a more valuable life by comparing clothes, cars, homes, paychecks, beauty, or amount of followers. But the externals are rarely a good measure. Net worth has never been a good indicator of self-worth. We always compare our worst with their best. Comparing your life with others is always a losing proposition because there will always be people who appear to be better off than you, seemingly living the perfect life. After all, we always compare the worst of what we know about ourselves to the best assumptions that we make about others. Their life is never as perfect as your mind makes it out to be, though. And there's no end to the comparison game. There's an infinite number of categories upon which we can compare ourselves, and we do, and an almost infinite number of people to compare yourself to. Once we start down the road, unfortunately, we'll never, ever find an end. Remember, life's not graded on a curve. How you measure up against others holds absolutely no importance in your life anyway. It simply makes no difference. The goal of life is not to be better than 50% of the other people on the planet. The goal of life is to be the best that we can be individually. And comparison puts your focus often on the wrong person. You can control one life. Yours, ours. When we consistently compare ourselves to others, we waste precious energy, focusing on other people's lives rather than our own. You see, in many ways, comparison robs us of joy. Comparing ourselves to others will always cause us to regret what we aren't, rather than allow us to enjoy life as we are. It'll always steal the joy and happiness that's within our reach and place it just outside of our reach instead. Many a happy life has been stolen by the unhealthy habit of comparing ourselves to others. Comparing ourselves to others will always rob us of gratitude, joy, and fulfillment, but even more than that, it prevents us from fully living our lives. It calls us to envy everyone else's life and seek theirs rather than ours. It robs us of our most precious possession, life itself. And while the temptation to compare may never be completely eliminated, there are certainly some practical steps that we can take to move past it. So let's discuss how we can stop comparing ourselves to others. Well, you got to recognize the inherent problem in comparing yourself. Take a good look at what we just talked about. You got to celebrate who you are. There are many wonderful things about our lives. If you're an artist, a business person, a mother, a father, how about a good listener, a generous person? There's a lot to celebrate because we're entirely unique individuals. any comparison between us and another person, like comparing apples to oranges. They aren't living our life. We are. Therefore, we should expect the results to completely different. You got to focus inward. Value generosity, humility, goodness, kindness, and love. Begin to focus on developing the inward qualities of a simplified life, and the externals will lose their beauty. Realize that life is not a competition. There may be times when competition's important, but life's not one of them. We've all been thrown together at the exact moment on the exact planet, and that sooner we develop some way to feel that we are okay, we'll start figuring out a better way to work it out. And you got to remember that nobody's perfect. We truly live in a society that glamorizes perfection. One important step to avoiding the lure of comparison is to remember that one snapshot in time never tells the whole story. The story's never told of the hours in the makeup room or in the photo editing room covering up the blemishes. The story is rarely told of those people's insecurities and failures. The story doesn't sell nearly as many magazines, would it? But the truth remains, there are no perfect people out there, including us, including me, including you. So maybe we need to live intentionally. That's right. Too many people live their lives without intentionality or thought. They rarely find a quiet moment to sit and examine their life, who they are, who they're becoming. And as a result, lives are lived as reactions to events around them. But when a life is lived intentionally and thoughtfully, the comparison game becomes less attractive. You see, as people, it's our nature to compare ourselves to others, but nothing good ever comes of it. So let's stop comparing ourselves to others. We weren't born in to live another person's life. There's no sense wasting ours, being jealous of theirs. Instead, let's just start living our lives. Let's determine that today, we're going to be good at it. Because you know what, after all, you only get one shot. Okay? So you really got to stop comparing yourselves to others. You got to accept that you have choices. When you compare to others, you fail to accept the choices you really have. You got to keep working towards your goals instead of comparing to someone else. Measure where you are now compared to a month or a year ago and appreciate the progress you made. Measure your own progress. Carry yourself accountable for everything you do and no more. Understand and recognize limitations that we have. You see, when you compare yourself to the other person, the worst thing you can do is bank on limitations. People often concentrate on what they're not good at and spend their time wishing they could be better. Instead, recognize your limitations, but don't allow them to limit you. Understand them and then defy them. Sometimes the best way to excel is to set up your own rules. So we got to be unique and embrace our uniqueness. Comparisons don't leave room for the things you make unique. What do you think of that? What makes us different? What are our gifts? Our gifts and our talents and successes and contributions and value are entirely unique to individually us. That is why we can never truly be compared to somebody else. Well, if you become triggered by the realization of how much we don't know, the solution is simple. Learn from the person with experience in that field. And remember, time. That's right. Time is very precious. Guard it carefully. Certainly celebrate our successes, but you know what? Each time you accomplish something, we should raise the bar a little higher. And remember to focus only on the things you can change. Stop worrying about the things you can't. Remember that comparisons breed resentment. The more we compare ourselves to others, the more resentment we're likely to feel. And you know what? It's even more painful resentment because it's a self-inflicted wound. Give it to others. what you most desire for yourself. That's right. Remember, pay it forward and send it around to others. You will succeed. And if you really want to succeed, help others first. This is the Real Senior Stoner. And really, we've been talking today about how important it is not to try to be somebody else, not to try to be different than who you are. The key, I think, is to just maximize who you really are in life, okay? Be the best senior stoner you can be, for me. And that's what I try to do every day. I try to be the best senior stoner I can be. I can't be somebody else. I can only be me. But you know what I can do every single day? If I try, I can be better than I was the day before. This is the Real Senior Stoner. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. You know what to do. It's an important one, I think. And remember, all of us probably do too much of trying to be like another person. Well, guess what? I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do it anymore. We've talked about some ways to push yourself into a different way of thinking and stop comparing yourselves to others. Cheers, everybody. Have a wonderful day out there. This is the Real Senior Stoner. Take it easy. Here we go. Wow. Just a little sip. Thanks again, everybody. And have a great day out there. Cheers.